Hey guys, my name is Pelumi, and today I will be teaching you how to not go broke trying to start an Airbnb business.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Don't Go Broke Trying. I am your host, Rennie, and I'm super excited that you're listening to another episode. If you don't know what this podcast is all about, it's all about making sure that you don't go broke trying to live your best life. And to do that, I bring on people who maybe have gone broke in the past, or people who haven't gone broke, but they just have great experience in the topic that we're talking about. So if you don't know me as well, my name is Rennie. As I said, I am a full-time content creator. I am based in Toronto, Canada. If you're not watching on YouTube, you can't see me, but I am a Black millennial woman as well, if that gives you some context about me. And yeah, I'm really excited for you to listen to this episode. Today, we're going to be talking all about how to not go broke trying to start an Airbnb business. I have spoken about how I purchased my first house at the age of 23. A lot of you guys have questions, and a lot of you ask me like how you guys can start Airbnb businesses. And I'm like, yo, I have no idea. I have zero experience. So I had to bring on the wonderful, the amazing, the phenomenal Pelumi. Hi, Pelumi.
Hi, Rennie.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for you to be here. Pelumi is my friend, and we've known each other for a few years now. We met at church, actually.
Yep.
And Pelumi is a rich guy, okay?
Amen.
Pelumi is amazing, and he's also now a real estate investor who has a few properties, and one of them is an Airbnb. So I want him to share his knowledge with all of you today. So before I get him to introduce himself, I just want you all to make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast or to the YouTube channel. First of all, I want you to go on YouTube and share this with somebody else. And lastly, I want you to share this on your Instagram story and tag me, Pelumi, and the podcast. And all our information will be in the description box below. So if you've done all that, then now let's get into the episode. Okay, Pelumi, do you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Pelumi Ogendegbe, based out in the Toronto area. I am a real estate investor. I'm also a tech career mentor, as well as a drummer. As you can see, I do put on a number of titles. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to do different things to, I guess, give expressions to my creativity and my talents. And yeah, hopefully, you guys can learn from my journey, kind of learn from why I decided to start an Airbnb business or a short-term rental business. And hopefully you can learn from my journey, my mistakes, and some of my successes.
Yes, thank you. That was very succinct. I love it. And as Pelumi said, he's also, aside from being a real estate investor, he's a tech career mentor. So you can also book him for a call. He knows a lot about getting into tech, transitioning into tech. And he also has a great Instagram page where he started to create some content about getting into tech. So make sure that you follow him. What's your handle?
My handle is pelumi.ogendegbe.
How do we spell?
It's a long name.
Yeah, we'll leave it in the description box.
Just leave it, exactly.
So that you can follow him. But he makes some great content on there. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend. Okay, so before we get into it, we're going to start off with the Rennie Rated segment. And this is basically something that you are loving right now. So what is something you're loving? It can be a product, a service, a person, a song, whatever you want.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a great question. I'll tell you what. Obviously, being a product manager in my 9-to-5, I'm a tech product manager. One product type that I really love nowadays is TikTok. Being a millennial, to be honest, I wasn't very thrilled with another social media platform, but the fact that I can just search for information and easily find answers, like literally to anything on TikTok, for me, that's bliss. And so I found it very easy to use. And I've just realized that it's not for Gen Zs alone, Those of us with back pain. Not those, I'm kidding. Not me,
the
but
millennials can take part too.
Of course, honestly, man. So that's been great. And I guess also maybe the other thing I'll add is last week I had the opportunity to minister alongside Dunsi Oyekan. So if you're someone who's a person of faith, if you're a person of faith looking for someone with great worship, someone to really take into that atmosphere of worship, Dunsi Oyekan definitely is one person you probably want to use his music to get into that place.
I need to tap in. I have not, but I heard the concert or the ministration was amazing.
Yeah.
And I should tap in to his music. I really should.
Definitely recommend.
Yeah, and I agree with you on TikTok. When it first came out, I was like, what is this? Another Gen Z nonsense.
Right.
Even though I'm like the last year of millennials, I know I'm a zillennial, whatever. But I still associate with the millennials, okay? And I thought it was nonsense, but I love TikTok.
It is crazy. It's
the place to be. You can search for anything on there. The search
interview
engine,
content, anything.
Yeah, anything. So tap into it if you're not on it yet.
Absolutely. Definitely amongst like all social media networks that I've had experience using, best search engine, and that really helps, right?
Yeah. So, aside from YouTube, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. We also want to give a disclaimer that this is not financial advice. This is just our personal experiences. None of this is considered financial advice. Okay, so Pelumi, let's get into it. We want to know the real you. We like to go all the way back to the real you, And our best way to do that, or our favorite way to do that, is by learning about where you came from. So where did you grow up? What was your relationship like with money growing up? And how has it changed over the years?
Yeah, no, great question. So I am from Nigeria. Proud Nigerian. Right? I grew up predominantly in Ibadan and Lagos. Okay. My parents based out of Ibadan, but I'm someone who always loved the city was a little bit too slow for me personally. So I was always in Lagos for different things. I always ran different sort of businesses that failed for the most part. But again, great lessons for me. My relationship with money was my biggest mentor. Money was my dad. He is by far the most disciplined person with saving money that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah. So that was where I started learning about money. And to be honest, back then I low-key kind of hated it because there were times when maybe I wanted to go on trips with my friends, and my dad would say no, right? So maybe we wanted to get out of the country with friends and go to the UK or whatever, and he would say no, right? Back then I never really understood it, but growing up and seeing what he was able to do for me and the kind of schools he was able to send me to, I later understood why he did it, right? Because again, he was working 9 to 5. One thing that I did learn was my dad is very risk averse, right? So he didn't take on a lot of risk.
Okay.
Right. That was the one lesson I definitely took away. He was very save, gather, invest in a few real estates, but there was an opportunity for him to definitely do a bit more. Yeah. But that just wasn't his nature as a person.
He wasn't investing in the stock market.
No. Yeah. I get it. He felt, I don't know if a lot of people remember, but there were certain banks in Nigeria back then, like there's one called TIB, Trans International Bank, that crashed. He had a bunch of stocks and things in there, so he lost a lot of money. So all of that hurt, understandably. Yeah, exactly. And then treasury bills as well back home in Nigeria also failed at some point, so that also affected his funds. Nigeria, man.
So do you remember is that your first memory of money, like seeing your dad? Okay,
absolutely. Seeing my dad save. Oh goodness, one interesting part. My dad actually used to have a locally built vault in the house.
Wow.
Just a stack of cash.
Oh wow.
Growing up.
So he didn't even trust banks at this point.
Yeah. At some point he didn't trust them 100%. Wow. So he kept some money in the bank and kept some money in his vault. Yeah.
I like it actually. Okay. And then how do you think that influenced you growing up in the way you thought about money?
So the things I learned was planning and budgeting. Right? My dad, you can never catch the man wanting. There's never a case where there's an emergency and there's no funds. Never. Not my dad. He was very, very fail-proof towards those things because of just how he managed his money.
Yeah.
However, I felt like he could have done a lot more and taken on a lot more risk.
Yeah.
So I guess I took on those good things, and I tried. These days, I just try to tag on the things that he didn't do that I feel that are beneficial from my learnings about finance, and I take on more risk. I'm ready to lose money. I know that it's part of the game, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much.
Nice. And then you got into real estate a few years. Did you get into real estate in Nigeria, or was it when you moved to Canada that you got into real estate?
I got into real estate here in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why? Like,
So
why did you decide to get into real estate, and when did you decide to buy this house?
yeah, so I decided to start getting into real estate, when I started learning more about finance and financial freedom,
Okay.
right? My own personal goal, honestly, is to be financially free by building passive income that can replace my active income.
And for those who don't know what passive and active income is, how would you describe it?
So the way I would describe it is, active income is the money you work for. Passive income is the money that works for you.
Ooh, I like that.
You like it, eh? Yeah, but technically that's how I see it.
Yeah.
I mean, you work, if you worked in Canada before, it's stressful, right? I mean, it can be fun sometimes depending on what you do, but I don't know about you guys, about me, I'm not really looking forward to waking up at, you know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
Like, so I just always told myself, like, I don't want the rest of my life to be me working for money. I need money to start working for me. So that's when I started looking at, okay, what investment vehicles could I use, right? Did a in-depth study. I got into the stock market, invest in stocks. Obviously you know about this. Invest in index funds, whatever the case may be, right? And then I started seeing some of the returns historically with the Canadian market, right? With the Canadian real estate market, and I'm like, yo, people are making bank.
A lot.
So a lot of bank. People have created real wealth from the Canadian market.
Yeah.
So did a study. I realized that I think from 2010 or to 2020 or 2009 to 2019,
Okay.
across the entire world, Canada had the highest rate of growth in real
I
estate.
saw that.
Right?
Yeah.
Crazy. So so that was when I was like, yeah, I have to get into real estate somehow.
Like, get your little piece of Canada, right?
Absolutely. Get a little piece of the land, right?
Yeah.
Also, to be honest, one big factor to this was my pastor at our local church.
Yeah. He really emphasizes that.
It really, really emphasizes it because
Which is good.
he's seen it.
You don't really hear that at churches.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no kidding. But that balance really, really helps because so I tapped into that, and I just pushed all the way through to get my first property, which I got in 2019.
Okay.
I got it in Hamilton, right? To be honest, I did not get it in the prettiest area of Hamilton.
So those, if you don't know what Hamilton is or where it is, it's outside the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, and there are some like pretty parts of Hamilton, not so nice parts of Hamilton. So where was yours?
Be nice.
Where was yours?
To be honest, it was not in the prettiest part of Hamilton.
Okay.
It was below the mountain. There's a lot more activity closer to downtown Hamilton. If you know Hamilton,
Activity is a nice way to put it.
Yeah. I'm a diplomatic guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of activities around there, but it was a great property. It was brand new, right? So I was going to be the first occupant.
Oh, nice.
So obviously that attracted me to it. As my first home. I got the house then for about $400K.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But this is pre-pandemic, right?
Yes, right before the pandemic.
Nice.
Pandemic started when? 2020,
Yeah.
right? So I got it December 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, it was when I closed. Right? Literally. 3 months before was when I closed.
Yeah.
So I got it, moved in anyways. I wasn't married, I was single. I'm just gonna I'll be honest with you guys. I didn't get it under the prettiest circumstances financial wise.
Oh really?
I had to get a second mortgage even to close it, right? But I had a great mortgage broker who had told me that, you know what, it's only temporary, right? Within a year, you're going to pay off that second mortgage because, you know, the value of the property was going to appreciate, right? And that's exactly what happened.
And it's
Got rid
probably
of that.
skyrocketed, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you that story. Oh, fun stuff. Trust me. So, you know, got rid of that second mortgage within a year. I'm saying this so that people know that, yeah, you know, getting into real estate investment, you're not always going to get a CIBC bank right out of the bat.
Yeah.
You're not always going to get the best rate right out of the bat, right? You know what I'm saying? Then my income was good, right? Maybe then I was earning about 85K a year. But I needed a little bit more because my credit score was not like 800 or something, right?
And you're single income.
And I was a single income home family, so they needed a little bit more. So I had to put down a little bit more. I put down about 8% in overall deposit.
Okay.
Within a year and a half, I cashed out.
Explain.
I cashed out. That was during pandemic. The market went crazy, skyrocketed.
Yeah.
I sold that property for about 630K
in
1.5 years. So I cashed out 200K
in 1.5 years.
Yeah, 1.5 years.
Wow.
1.5 years.
Okay. Wait. So, okay, that's great. I love it. I actually love to hear. And how many? Just so for context for people, how many years into Canada were you? Like, how many years had you been in Canada at that time? Because I feel like that would be inspirational.
Yeah, great question. So I moved into Canada 2015. So I'd been in Canada for 4 years.
See, it's possible.
Oh, absolutely
it's
possible.
Very possible.
Absolutely possible.
Single income, good job, and you got 5 years in Canada, 4 years in Canada, and you were able to purchase your first house.
Yep.
I love to see it. I really do. Yep. So you sold that, and then what happened?
So I sold it. Made pretty decent money out of it. Well, that's probably over 50% that I made in profit in 1.5 years.
That's great.
No investment vehicle, none will give you the same returns in a year and a half. None. Trust me. So I took that money. The reason why I sold then was because you know, I was now married. I wanted to get into an environment that was, let's say, a little bit more welcoming, right, to raise a child, right? So I, you know, and I also wanted a bigger property at that time. So I wanted to just, I guess, upskill. So I went and then I bought another property in a different city. Using that same. So I just put down 20% at that point.
Nice.
And then what had happened was that property during COVID rose by about 500K. Oof. Within
500K
within 6 months.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciation.
Wow.
So
what?
Yep.
This is 2020.
Yeah. This was in 2021 now. Right. That was a thick and thin of COVID. And so I'm not sure if you remember then, that was when people were listing a property and selling at 300K over asking. Like, I remember my realtor then told me he was trying to get a property, right? This was in Kitchener. And in Kitchener, he put in an offer of 150K more, and he still lost the bid.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, Kitchener is also outside the GTA, but even farther outside of the Greater Toronto area. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but maybe
20-30 minutes.
Yeah. It's not like it's not where you go and you're like, oh yeah, I would love to live in Kitchener. You know, it's like it's not that place.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Okay. So so he bid 150 over asking and still got
still got outbidded, right?
So your property rate rose 500,000.
Yeah, about 500K.
Wow.
Within 6 months.
And you decided to do what?
So I remortgaged. I refinanced.
Smart.
Right. I didn't take the entire 500. I took some.
And for those who don't know what refinancing is, maybe they're listening, they don't know what that is. What does that entail?
So, great question.
Should I Google what?
No. I can definitely define it. So, what a refinance does essentially is, if your property is, for example, I'll give an example. Maybe probably easier for people to tag on. If your property at the time when you bought it was 500K, and now your present day value is 700,000, right? What a refinance does is you're going to tell the bank, hey, my property is now worth 700,000. Can you give me some of the difference between my existing mortgage and the new value of the property? Now, the bank is going to give you two options, right? They're either going to give you a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit, or they will give you an option to refinance. Now, with refinancing, you get 80% of that difference. 80? So 80% of 200K. With the HELOC, I believe is only they would only give you a HELOC for 65% of that difference. So 65% of 200K. So whichever one works for you. In my case, I decided to go with the refinance, and again I didn't max out the limit. Took out some funds. I also partnered up with a friend.
Smart. Okay, this is good. I think this would be very helpful for people to know that they don't have to go everything alone.
No.
Before we get on to that, because again, I've never refinanced. I understand the concept kind of, but I don't fully understand it. So is it that 80% of the 200K you're getting in cash?
Yes. They'll give you that in cash.
Really?
Yeah, they'll give you that in cash. But that again, so let's say 80% of 200K is what? Let's assume it's 150 because I don't have time to do some math right now, but you can try to find that answer. 160K, right? So what they do is if your existing mortgage is 500K, they top that up with that 160K. So now your existing mortgage would then become 660K.
Got it.
Right? But then again, depending on the current interest rate. So, and it's not scary, right? Because you might have bought the house at a 4% interest rate. And now maybe because things have changed for you. You have a better credit score. Your income has increased. You might now be doing this refinance at 2.5. So really the differential in your monthly mortgage payments might not really change much.
Okay.
It might be a $300 increase, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you do your math, right? Is it worth it? If I'm going to use this money for this, what's the return on that investment going to get me? Is it going to be able to pay for that 300 differential?
Yeah.
Things like that, right? But so when you do a refinance, that money they give you in cash to go use for a different investment property or to use for a home upgrade or whatever the case may be, right? That money will be added onto your mortgage, then you just continue paying.
Okay, so you refinance your property, you got say however many $100,000, and then you used it you partnered up with a friend. And how did that go? Yeah,
so I partnered up with a friend. We brought together about I think close to 400K, right? That we brought together. We did the same thing, refinanced our properties. Before we made this decision, and I guess I'll walk you through the process of choosing who to partner up with and things like that. But before we made the decision, we did a lot of calculation.
Yeah.
A lot. Like
and I hope everyone's listening to that, because I find a lot of people, they make financial decisions, but then they never actually run the numbers. Like they run it in their head, but they've never put pen to paper and actually written anything down.
Yeah. Don't run it to your head. Like we literally, called brokers. We got numbers as close as we could. We wrote things on whiteboards. We had proper meetings to calculate these numbers before making the move.
Yeah, like again, if I put this down and you come with this, I come with this, the interest rate is this is what our monthly mortgage payment would be. We'll be able to get this much in rent. Like these sorts of questions.
Absolutely.
Right? Exactly.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess maybe we'll talk about that further down the line. But when you're doing those numbers, please don't try to calculate at your best scenario.
Ideal,
right? No, like always have 3 scenarios, right? Have a good, have a mid scenario, and have a bad scenario.
Yeah.
If you can't make a decision with the bad, especially, don't go into it.
Yeah.
So I remember at that time, I think interest rate was like 2.5%. We did our calculations at 5%.
Wow.
Yeah.
As you should.
To make it as you should.
Another lesson, another gem, okay?
Yeah.
Because you will go broke if you have a variable mortgage rate and the interest rate keeps going up and up and up.
Trust me.
You never factor that into any of your calculations.
Trust me. Trust.
So yeah. So you partnered up with
a friend, someone that I could definitely trust. Brought money together, and then we bought the Airbnb property and also bought another property.
Oh,
so yeah,
together.
we bought two together.
Wow.
Literally closed a day after another.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this was all during the pandemic, right? But it was a fantastic move, honestly.
Okay, so at this point you have 3 properties. One is an Airbnb, one is the home that you live in, and then one is a long-term rental that you're renting out to tenants. So can you walk us through like how you decided to transition to an Airbnb? Like, why didn't you just do 2 long-term rentals? What was the logic behind that?
I think the first thing was I wanted a more diversified portfolio, right? Okay. Of investments. So keep one, I guess flat, right? But I also wanted more money. when I did my research, right, I found that if things go well, you can make a killing.
Yep.
Right, with short-term rental or Airbnb, right? So, and I mean, with the Canadian market, our real estate is expensive. It's really expensive. It is difficult to really make passive income on regular rentals.
Yeah.
If you don't have scale.
Yeah.
If you don't if you're not owning properties like in the tens of numbers, it's difficult for that passive income to
actually make you money.
Like if you think about it, if you just own one property, you're hardly, in most cases right now, you're maybe not even cash flow positive.
Especially with these interest rates.
Especially with these interest rates, right?
You're negative.
Like for the most part, you're negative, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, that's probably another thing a lot of people don't know. You probably have a deficit of about $200 or $100, whatever the case may be, or more.
Especially in Toronto, like it's expensive.
It is expensive.
And so if your mortgage is $3,000 a month, it's gonna be hard to rent that out for $3,000 a month as well. So you're funding that property. And I think a lot of people don't really think about this when they're choosing the property that they're going to own. They're like, oh, Toronto is the busiest place, so I'm gonna buy a property here, but they're not actually considering all of the other things that go into it.
There's a lot.
Yeah, and your bottom line is the most important thing here.
Absolutely.
Right?
Property taxes, all of these things.
Yeah, and if you can own a home in a less sexy place like Kitchener, Waterloo, then but still make more money, wouldn't that make more sense?
Of course, man. Of course. So yeah, I was looking for more money. I was looking for a diversified portfolio. I also, oh goodness, very important, was I wanted to reduce risk of property damage.
Okay.
Very critical. Think about it. When someone stays longer in your property, that's when you'll be seeing damages on your property, things not working. But short-term rental or Airbnb, people just want a place to sleep.
Yeah.
They want a place to just, especially, outside of the cases where you're owning a cottage, where people actually come and stay and things like that, and party. But if it's within the city, people just want a place to just sleep and go to wherever they're going to, come to do whatever they're doing in that city. Yeah,
I know.
Right?
I know some people who have an Airbnb, and a lot of people just come in the city for weddings.
Yep.
They're barely even there because
they're barely there.
It's like they literally at night they're trying to sleep and they're up
and get out.
Morning.
Yeah, exactly, right. So chances of your property getting damaged is less. Also, the landlord tenancy act in Canada favors the tenants,
especially in Ontario. I think in other provinces it's better, but in Ontario it favors the tenants.
Really does, right?
Yeah.
And you could get a crazy tenant, right, who starts to give you issues, right?
Yeah. And for those who don't know, maybe you don't know what we're talking about. The landlord tenant board is the governance board that determines the relations between landlords and your tenants. So, and it's, for some examples, it's very hard to kick somebody out of your house.
Very hard.
If you decide I no longer want this tenant in my house, good luck to you. That's all.
Good luck.
That's
good luck. Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
It's extremely tough. And even if they do something wrong, they don't pay their rent, for example, it's still hard to get them out.
Really hard.
Especially in Ontario. Again, other provinces may be different, but in Ontario, it's so hard. And the board is so backed up as well. So you may file for an eviction notice. You still have to go through the whole process. They could be there 6 months without paying rent. So
100%.
You're right that Airbnb helps you to, or short-term rentals help you to lower your risk that way.
Risk of all of those things, right? So those are the reasons why. So again, more money, diversified portfolio, right? Reduce the risk of property damage and reduce the risk of, getting a crazy tenant and getting to landlord tenancy board issues, right?
Smart. And I just remembered that some people may not know what Airbnb is. So maybe if you could explain what Airbnb / short-term rentals are. Yeah.
So essentially these are short-term rentals where people book your place. It's kind of like a hotel, but people are looking for, I guess, a more personable or home-like experience, right? So they book your property for a few days or sometimes mid-term, right? So it could be for a month or 2-3 months, right? Stay there and out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. And so you decided to purchase this Airbnb, this property specifically to do Airbnb or any short-term rental.
Correct.
So how did you decide on where to purchase it? Again, I know you ran the numbers and everything, but I think location is a big factor when it comes to Airbnb.
Absolutely.
So how did you decide? And just for our listeners, if you have any advice on how we decide which neighborhood would be best for Airbnb, are there any factors you considered?
Yeah. So again, bear in mind, this was my first try at it, right?
Yeah.
So number one thing for us was accessibility for us, for the host.
Okay.
I needed a place where I could get easy access
Close to it, yeah.
I don't want to be, for my first Airbnb property,
Calgary,
you know what I'm saying? I don't have access to it.
Yeah.
If anything happens and, all hell breaks loose, I want to be there.
Okay, so
to gain that first-hand experience first.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
Accessibility for the host, number one, was one critical thing. Number two was accessibility for the guests. Okay. Right? So again, this wasn't a vacation home in some cottages, somewhere fancy. So I wanted a place where, we wanted a place where they would have easy access to restaurants, easy access to transit, easy access to major amenities, right? The gym, things like that.
Makes sense.
So we when you kind of think about those things, in most cities, those properties are downtown of that city, right? So when we found this property, fantastic location, right? Again, 3 minutes from the Google office in Kitchener, right opposite a huge LA Fitness gym, right? Restaurants opposite. There's a mini shopping mall, whatever. There's a spa right next to it, right? So fantastic property. So all of those things, honestly, were the things that we were looking at in making that decision, honestly.
Okay, makes perfect sense. Like, I know when I go on to travel and I look for an Airbnb, it's, again, I needed to be close to all the attractions.
Convenience, right?
Yeah.
Convenience.
Because I'm not trying to pay. I'd pay more money to stay closer than pay for an Uber every day to go from a place farther away.
Or worry about renting a car, for example, right?
And I think what you mentioned about it being close to like the Facebook, Google office, for example, like a lot of people who come on business trips there.
Exactly.
Your place would be perfect for them.
It's strategic, exactly.
Smart. Have you faced any difficulties or struggles with running your Airbnb? Is it glamorous? Like, I know I see a lot of people online. It seems like it's a glamorous experience. So is it glamorous?
It's not glamorous. Okay. I'll be honest with you. Especially, initially starting out, all of the property management, we had to do, right? Before finding the right contacts for cleaning, for garbage control, for physical property management, we had to do all of that. So after a guest, we'll go clean. Garbage was hell. I'm telling you, because obviously in Ontario, you have certain days that you must put the garbage out.
Yeah.
You have to put it out very early. The place is about a 20 minutes drive from the house, so sometimes we'll miss it, right? Or the guest didn't do the garbage in properly, so I'm talking about like.
Is it their job?
I mean, no, but like at least you can put it in the bin properly, not littered outside, and then there's like maggots. And then I'll talk about the non-glamorous things.
Yes, please.
We've had to like carry like bins to like the places where you can like dump
landfill.
bins. Yeah, the landfill. I'm talking like carrying stuff that has maggots in it.
Why?
Smell.
Who are these people that are staying at you?
Honestly, because once these things sit for a while.
Yeah. Especially if it's hot.
Yeah, especially when it's hot, right? So we had to deal with that early on, and trust me, it was everything but glamorous. I mean, it was nasty, right? But there's something my friend always says. Actually, maybe I shouldn't say
it. Okay. Any other?
I guess I'll say it in a different way. Dirty money is the best money.
Okay. Interesting.
I guess maybe not, but sometimes you have to get your hands dirty.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Essentially is what that means, right? And it wasn't pretty initially.
Yeah.
Till we had some control over it, and till we had to get the right set of people to do those things. Yeah. Right.
Have you had any other difficulties? Like, has finding people to work for you been difficult? Has the finding guests to come, has that ever been difficult for you?
Oh yeah, we've had funny guests. We've had guests who their pets have come to like damage parts of the property. We've had a guest run away.
What does that mean?
We had this one situation. This lady, oh my goodness. This lady, actually, interestingly enough, has some pretty good popularity, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. Came and stayed with property, I think, with the father. Something happened. Maybe they didn't want to pay or finish up payments. They literally ran away and left their things inside. Oh, no kidding! Like left the dad. I think the dad had some accessibility issues, so he needed a chair to use the washroom. All of that was in there. Some clothes and
they just
black
left
beans. You should have seen the house when they left. It was upside down.
Were they staying for a long time?
No, it was about 2 weeks.
Interesting.
Very interesting. I'm telling you.
So you come across interesting characters.
Oh, interesting characters. Interesting characters.
Yeah.
Interesting characters. I remember one time we had, so again, it's two different listings. So there's a 1-bedroom suite, underneath, or I guess in the basement unit, and then there's a 3-bedroom up top, right? One time we had a pilot and his girlfriend up top. And then we had these funny guests, in the 1-bedroom suite that were smoking weed. Now it turned out they were doing weed or pot. I don't know whatever they were doing, right? It turned out the pilot who was upstairs had a drug exam the next day. Yeah. Thankfully, we got situations under control and we didn't hear back that there was any concerns. Thankfully,
I would have been livid,
right?
Yeah.
So we've had situations like that, and you try as much as possible to keep control over those things, but you can't always.
No, you can't. You can't control what people do, honestly.
Yeah, you can't always.
Okay, so if you're comfortable sharing numbers, because this is a financial podcast, how much can one expect to make a month, or what is the highest you have made in a month?
Yeah, so when things were really good,
what does that mean? When
so
really
before
good?
Interest rates,
before
interest rates madness, I guess. Again, being investors, we kept the properties on variable, right, rather than fixed.
Yeah.
In hindsight, maybe we should have done fixed.
Fair
but
enough.
Again, you live to learn, right? Then great months. I guess the highest, about $3,000 in profits after expenses, which if you do real estate in Canada, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's
it is
incredible.
No, it is
incredible.
Yes.
But I guess if you had when things were really good again, at 80% occupancy rates per month. So that's how when you have 80% of your available slots booked for the month, will make between I guess $1,500 and $2,000 a month
in profit.
Okay. Which is really good.
Yeah,
so we were staying afloat 3 months even without booking. We were able to take care of all our expenses, right? Until winter months became a little bit slower.
Okay.
Slower, less bookings.
Yeah.
You have to. There's a lot to consider during those months, right? There's so much more to, I guess, short-term rental than just Airbnb that you can do to help, boost things up in those difficult times. Really. Let me see. I wrote some other things. So yeah, in terms of numbers, that was sort of our best scenario, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously worst case scenario is more or less where you're not making anything,
any money.
quite frankly.
So I think
speaking.
that's the risk that people may face with Airbnb. And if you do start an Airbnb, I guess this is something you have to factor in.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like it's variable income as well.
Yeah.
So some months will be amazing, especially in summer probably, and then in winter, especially our winter is not nice. People don't like to travel as much, so the profit may not be as much in those months. And you have to be able to. I feel like you have to be really financially literate to be a long-term rental host or whatever. Maybe you don't need as much financial literacy because it's the same money you're getting month over month. But for this, you have to, because if you're like, oh, I made $3,000 this month, let me go blow it. What if next month
trust me,
next month you can make 500 and you're like,
yeah.
So I think it's important to be very, very like about your money, about your every dollar. You know where it's going.
You have to know your numbers. Yeah. Right. I remember. So, one thing we really did was, after calculating all of our potential return on investment, we also did a 10-year projection, right? Based on, again, 3 scenarios, depending on how, what the average income is per month on those properties. On, if took either flat or, depending on how we're going to increase it, right? To know, number one, when are we truly profitable as a business? Because there's a lot of things that people don't factor in. How about your setup cost? Yeah. So, for example, in our own case, we spent over 20K, or just about 20K in setup. Furnishing. So
what's setup? Furnishing. I guess the door system to make sure that you don't have to be there opening the door for them every time they're
all of that. Cameras.
What else?
In our own case, we also have to separate both units so that the folks upstairs don't have access to downstairs and vice versa, right?
Oh my gosh!
So there's a lot of things to consider, right?
So even though you're making say 3K a month, it doesn't mean when you hit 6 months or 7 months that you're actually profitable, because now you've broken even and now you're starting being profitable.
So you have to like break even first, then you gotta find a way to pay yourself back. That's when you start really. After that, that's when you can start saying you're making money.
Okay,
right.
Good to know.
there's a whole thing in there, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't, living lavish. I wasn't squander.
Yeah, but I would say this is a long-term business. It's not something you just start off and expect like, oh yeah, and in 2 months I'm gonna be like rich. It's like it's a long-term thing.
It's a long-term thing.
And I think there are months that you can make a lot more money than others. Like for example, if you had an Airbnb somewhere in like the Greater Toronto area and it's Caravana time, like I know I've seen prices. They could quadruple the prices that weekend. Stuff like that. But again, that's variable. It's not a normal thing. It's not a normal thing. Or if you have an Airbnb, like the cottage that we went to for Shay's birthday, like I'm sure in summer they're booked up permanently, but not so much in winter.
Yeah, so who's trying to go to
Muskoka?
We did, but right?
Yeah. Okay, so now that we know a little bit more about your story, thank you for sharing that with us. Can we talk about Airbnb in general?
Sure.
So how do we know if the Airbnb business is for us? Like, what would you say makes a good Airbnb host or real estate investor?
Man, the number of things that I sort of wrote down as I was sort of preparing for this. So, number one, be ready for the ups and downs. Be ready for the losses as much as you're ready for the profits, right? Because those moments are going to happen, right? So you got to be ready for that.
Resilience,
right? Be ready to get your hands dirty, right? With the regular rental property, you probably have a property manager taking care of things. With Airbnb, initially, before you find the right team, you might have to pick up things and go wash toilets and, not necessarily do the most glamorous things. Not necessarily do the most glamorous things, right? Clearing snow, cutting the grass.
Oh, yeah, those two. Yeah, I forgot about snow.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a bunch in there. When you've not even finished clearing the snow in front of your own house, then you have to worry about another property, right?
You're liable for it, right?
Right, you're liable for it. Also, we have a walkway that we also have to clear, right? Because again, you're liable for that. If someone falls in your walkway in Canada, that's problem for you, right?
Yeah.
So, you got to be ready for, those kind of things. You have to know, it's a good source of passive income once things are smooth sailing, right? Also, as a host, you have to think about, I guess, two things. The different types of guests you can potentially have. And then you have to put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
So think about someone who's coming with a family. Let's say young couple, they have 3 kids. If you were a young couple with 3 kids, maybe all toddlers and maybe 2 toddlers and a baby, what would you need to be comfortable in a house? What are some of the amenities you're going to need in there? Or is it because think about it, they're probably not going to travel around with a baby cot. So things as little as that. What are some of the things that people would easily forget when traveling? Hair blow dryer, for example.
Yeah.
Things like that. Make those things available.
So you have to be able to anticipate their needs.
Anticipate things. So in tech, we kind of call it design thinking. Where you kind of empathize with the persona, right? But again, not getting into that. But essentially, you're empathizing with your different sort of guest groups and trying to provide a personable service for them. And also be reachable, be available.
That's
so
true.
Important.
Yeah.
Right? Because the most frustrating thing is, maybe a guest is trying to get into your house. They're putting in the pin.
It's not working.
It's not working. And it's cold, for example.
Yeah. And
right?
then your rating is going...
Your ratings are just going to
plummet.
Tank.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So very, very important, right? So be available, be accessible by a guest. You have to have that, I guess, customer service type of mindset.
Yeah, okay. So you made some good points. So everyone, let me just recap them again. So the first thing, you want to be somebody who is resilient, right? If you be willing to get your hands dirty at the beginning. You also need to be hospitable or empathetic to and be able to anticipate your guest needs. Yep. Customer service, obviously, that would be a must. And then also be reachable. I think that's a key one because me, I don't answer my phone. So the fact that you need to be reachable at all times is, if you're the type of person who does not like to answer their phone, does not check their phone to be on the Airbnb app, is it for you?
Yep.
Yeah. These are the questions
to ask. These are the questions to ask, right? And you got to consider the fact that, we've had to deal with issues at 12 midnight. Again, it's not the rule of thumb, but if someone is stuck and they're a guest, what are you going to do? Yeah. You got to help. Yeah. You have to help, right?
That's true.
So you have to be ready for these kind of commitments. Again, that's why accessibility for a host was key for our first property.
Make it close to
right? Obviously, there are ways to handle these things with a property manager and all of that, right? But again, at the end of the day, if the property manager messes up, it's still your money. It's still your business. It's still your name on it. It's
your money, your business, also your name on the listing.
Your name on it.
And I know that being like a super host is something that's very valuable on Airbnb. Can you explain what that is?
So being a super host, Airbnb gives you certain metrics that you have to hit over X number of months. It might be over 3 months, over I think they do an evaluation. If I remember correctly, either twice a year. I don't remember, to be honest. We just didn't bother much about that anymore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they do an evaluation based on certain metrics that they expect you to meet. If you meet those, you become a super host, and there's a bunch of advantages. Your listings kind of get seen first. If someone needs to type Airbnbs in Mississauga, for example, super hosts is what you initially see. So again, drives more leads. So for you, for example, more opportunities and hence more business and things like that, right?
Yeah. So customer service is key
King.
in this. Yeah.
King, right?
So I know that you got a property that you have multiple units in, right? So it was one property, but you built it and you made it into multiple units. So first, why did you decide to do that? Was that to maximize income as well?
Maximize income, absolutely.
Can you explain what you did to the property?
Yes.
And also for everyone, they have an Instagram page for the property as well.
Yeah,
so
we do.
You can check it out as well.
Yeah, you see pictures and everything, and even some of the process that we took.
What's the handle?
It's Mikasa Victoria.
Okay, I'll leave it below as well. Yeah.
So some of the things we considered was, again, how do we make things a bit more diversified? Again, how can we maximize income, right?
Yeah.
So when the property came, there was again a 3-bedroom. The basement was completed, right? So in terms of the separations, we were lucky enough to already have like a laundry space with all the pipings and roughings done. So that was good. So we had a place where we could have a separate laundry for the basement unit. But again, you could just go back and forth between basement and main floor. So we needed to demarcate that. There was no dedicated kitchen space
in the basement.
No, all we had was a wash hand, sort of basin, where you could, like a little counter, but there was nothing else. So there was no hood. We had to fix all of that. Fix a hood so we can put in a little cooker top, but things for my IKEA furniture where you can have the cooker top sit on and serve as a mini countertop for cutting meat, or if we're trying to cook and things like that. Had to like furnish it with like fridges and things like that, coffee maker, microwave, to make sure that it was actually good enough for a kitchen. It was right. So all of those things, and then so that we could then bill and list that basement unit as a 1-bedroom full suite.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart. Okay. So what if somebody was looking for a property, what amenities and features would you say that they should look for when considering a property that will help them stand out? So again, you looked for this property and you're like, "Ooh, this will be good because not only can we can make more money from it, basically. Like I have this top unit, I have this bottom unit, but are there any other features or amenities that we should look for?"
Absolutely. So the first thing is it should look good.
Okay.
If it doesn't look good, people are not going to want to come stay in it.
I 100% agree. When I choose, I'm an Airbnb user. It has to look good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I might as well go to a hotel if it's ugly, right?
Exactly, because that's the main competitor is hotels or Airbnb.
Yeah.
So if the hotel is going to look nicer, why are you going to go stay in the crappy place? Okay, so number one, it has to look good, right?
I would say that goes into pictures. Like also, some places look good in real life, but the pictures just don't do it justice.
Exactly. Okay. Or the pictures are great. They get there and it's like, all of those things matter.
So make them match, okay?
Make them match. Yeah. All of those things matter. Like we actually got a professional photographer to take the pictures. We didn't just use like a phone.
Yeah.
You can, but we decided to go the extra mile.
Okay. Another tip. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, do get a professional photographer to, come take pictures and things like that.
I agree.
Very, very critical. Sorry, let me just check my notes again. I know I put down some other things.
So just want amenities or features that investors should look for when considering a property that will make them stand out.
Yeah. Again, remember, people are looking for a home-like experience, right? So if you think about, it takes a bit of a reiteration to get it right. Mm-hmm. But you think about things like coffee makers or a little jug to be able to heat up water because they're going to take tea.
Yeah.
Do you have tea bags in the house? Some cereals, just some light breakfast. It's Airbnb, right? For example, bed and breakfast, right? So, there's a bunch of things like that you have to kind of consider. Consider also being able to provide them with like local recommendations. Again, if you're not getting like a vacation home rental, vacation home investment that is like in a cottage, if it's going to be in the city, there should be like good local recommendations, right? With music, maybe a little small lounge, where people, in case, for example, if you get folks who come in for business, they've gone out for meetings all day, they might want a place to just relax a little bit on a Friday night.
Good.
Consider all of those things, right? Mm-hmm. As well. Consider like having like unique and authentic experiences, right? Very, very important. So in our house, one of the things we did was to create a bit of an experience, especially for folks who are coming outside Canada. Mm-hmm. On all of our rooms, on every room, so even from the kitchen to the living room to the bedrooms, they all have a name. So you actually see things like Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, things like that. It's a little small touch, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see,
Definitely.
right? To start learning a little bit about Canada, right? Yeah, so things like that, having entertainment, games, and things like that in the house.
Yeah. Perfect. I love it. Because, yeah, all these things are things I look for. I would say another thing would be fast Wi-Fi.
Absolutely.
Like, and you advertise that on your listing, right?
Absolutely.
Because that's what I look for. Like, whenever I'm looking for a property, I'm like, what is the Wi-Fi speed? Because I need to upload videos from here. Can this Wi-Fi handle me uploading videos? Yeah, that's something I look for 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Because I remember one time we had someone who built games come and stay. If you know anything about that world, you need really, really high speed internet.
Yes.
Right. So that's, and again, being close to a business center, we get a lot of that kind of traffic.
Yeah.
So the high speed internet is one thing we always get requests for. Yeah.
It must.
Okay.
And then if somebody is listening and wants to become an investor, how can they estimate the potential income that they're going to get from their Airbnb, and what factors should they be taking into account? So I think you mentioned a few of them, but when they're calculating that expected return on their investment, what should they be factoring in?
So number one is occupancy.
Okay.
Occupancy rate.
Yeah. Do you know what the average occupancy rate is?
So it depends on where you're at and all of those things, right? It depends on the demand for that area. So you have to do a lot of research around that. I'll give some sites you can use as well for that. Factor occupancy rate, factor in price, please. Right?
Of the property? Or
price of the property,
but
even prices of your listing.
Okay.
Right? Because obviously that's what's driving your revenue, right?
Yeah. Before we go on, how do they determine how to price their unit? Do you use like market research and look what other people in the
market
area?
research, and they're also like site places like Beyond Pricing.
Okay.
For example,
beyondpricing.com.
Yeah, Beyond Pricing. That you can also use. They gather like different Airbnb pricings. There are also things like there's a platform called All the Rooms, right? That actually gives you, it's a good short-term rental Airbnb ROI calculator.
Okay.
So return on investment calculator. There's AirDNA.
Okay, what's that?
So it's AirDNA. It's pretty similar to All the Rooms.
Okay.
Also great for calculating and factoring your return on investment. Again, have 3 scenarios: best case, average, and worst case. Always have that, and make sure that based off of that. So what you can do is you can have your pricing have best, average, and worst case. Have your occupancy rate have best case, right? And then compare both of those, combine both of them, and make sure you're comfortable.
Yeah.
To make a decision based on those things.
That's smart. Okay, so say you're like, okay, I estimate that my occupancy will be 50% on a bad month. 90% on a good month, 70% on an average month, right?
For example.
Okay, and then you would run the numbers with all 3 of those, yeah?
Exactly.
And are there any other I think a cost that I can think of would be like the cleaning cost. That would be something to factor in. Are you actually making money, or have you factored in the cleaning cost? Have you factored in the
physical property management?
Okay.
Right? Because again, if you're doing it yourself, please factor in your cost.
Yeah, that's true.
As well.
A lot of people don't do that.
Right?
Yeah.
Or factor in the cost of paying someone.
Yeah.
To do it. Right? We have all of these things set up now. I'm not going to cut grass or clear snow. Right? We paid someone for that stuff, right? There are people who offer physical property management businesses out there. Right? Factor in all of those costs.
Yeah.
Factor in cost of inventory.
Which is like...
You have to buy soaps. You have to buy tissues. You have to...
People be using them.
People be rinsing them out, right? People use these things.
Yeah.
And then, those are the things that you factor in when in an Airbnb business.
Smart. Okay. So, for everyone who, just a recap, and I'll probably make a post on this as well, but things you want to factor in: your occupancy price, your purchase price of the property, the price of the listing, and you can use those 3 websites that Pelumi mentioned, the best case, the worst case, and average case scenario, and all of these. The physical property management costs, if you're going to outsource it, or if you don't, your own costs. Also, the cleaning costs, the inventory that you're using, so the cost of everything that's in the property. What about utilities? Yeah.
Property tax.
Oh, and utilities, you can't really like
for short-term rental or Airbnb, it's not the tenant that's paying, it's you.
Yeah, and you don't really know if someone's gonna take a 1 hour long shower in your property.
Yep.
Okay, so utilities, property tax, Wi-Fi, like all of these costs do add up. So
100%.
Again, it's not just like, oh, I'm charging $200 a night. I think I'm gonna get 15 nights a month. So I'm making so much money. But then you're like, oh, there are other things to consider.
There's a lot to consider.
Yeah. Okay.
100%.
Good to know. Any other costs that we miss or?
Any other costs? I guess not an operating cost, but cost of fixing damages.
Oh yeah, that's
right?
something you need to account for.
Yeah, so for example, I always say have somebody. If you're not a handy person, have someone handy in your arsenal that you can call to shoot in case you need it.
Yeah.
Right. So have a plumber or just someone handy who can do all of those things, right?
Nice. That goes into my next question about the team that you should be building around your Airbnb. So I know you said some people manage it themselves. Some people outsource a lot to a property management team. If we do have a team that is working with us, who should we have on that team? Like who are the, say, top 5 people you think everybody should have on their property management team?
So, I actually wrote this down as well. So, number 1, have a cleaner.
Yeah.
Please. Cleaning is stressful, ma.
And
bruh.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a 1 bedroom, it is stressful.
Yeah.
It is stressful. I don't know. But for me, it was stressful.
Yes.
I didn't want to do it anymore.
Especially because some people can be gross too.
Yeah, right? Great.
Yeah.
Goodness. So have a cleaner. Have a physical property manager.
Okay. Which they would cover like the grass.
Some of them like they literally take like long-term contracts to cover both winter and summer.
Oh, nice.
Right. So to cover grass, snow, all of that. Also find a way to do garbaging.
Yeah.
So find a way to bring in all that garbage into the front.
So the cleaner can't do that?
So that's my bonus tip.
Okay.
If you can get your cleaner to do it, pay them a little bit extra to do it. Just come in, take it out. Because again, the time when the cleaner is coming to clean may not coincide with when they need to put out garbage.
That's true. And then who's bringing it back in as well? Yeah.
Right? So there's all of that to factor in.
Yeah.
Right? So there's that. There's also, like I said before, if you're not a handy person, have someone handy that you can easily reach out to. Right? Also, if you can get your cleaner to help you do like monitoring and control over the property, that would be great. As well as inventory management.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because again, who's replacing the things? The cleaner.
Yeah.
They'll know, okay, you're low on stock, you're low on this, you're low on oil, you're low on tissue, you're low on laundry soap, you're low on this.
Smart.
Things like that, right? If you can get your cleaner to do that, yeah.
Yeah. How do you find a cleaner, by the way, if anyone wants to know? Were you interviewing a bunch of different cleaners?
Yeah, we went through a number of them
before you found the one that works.
But I was gonna say, like, you can look up cleaners on like Facebook Markets, Kijiji. People have businesses that they advertise on, cleaning businesses.
Yeah. And some people specifically have Airbnb cleaning businesses. Like they're like, I specialize in Airbnb.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And then a lot of people start Airbnbs and just go broke and they're not successful. Why do you think that is?
So there are a number of reasons.
Okay.
Right. Number 1 thing I wrote was not anticipating the losses.
Losses meaning?
The times when it's not going to be rosy, right? Number 2 was, man, there's a lot.
Tell us all of them.
Yeah, I'll tell you a lot.
The people that need to be prepared,
Yeah, exactly. Doing, in quotes, air quotes, Airbnb, you can't rely only on Airbnb as a platform.
Good to know. Okay, that's a good tip. So what are we relying on then?
So if you do research and you see like some of the reasons why people fail in Airbnb businesses. You still see things like bad reviews. You see things like poor marketing, right? Why do you think you have to market if you're just on Airbnb, right? You still have to think about doing promotions, marketing ads.
That's another cost,
right?
Yeah.
Think about platforms like Booking.com, right? You can get a ton of traffic from places like that as well.
Yeah.
The number of like platforms where you can list your property, Facebook Markets, as well. People who are looking for midterm rental, ready to do month to month payments, right? And will still pay you pretty good.
Yeah. And I think when you have more longer term rentals, it actually may lower your cost because, for example, if you have someone who's staying like 3 days, that means you have to pay a cleaner every single time.
Exactly.
But if you have someone that stays 2 weeks and then or 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it's better for you actually.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's also that to consider. I remember one time we actually did targeted ads, social media ads to Ukraine. When Canada was accepting Ukrainians because of the because of Russia, right? And we actually got Ukrainian families.
Wow.
Yeah, so we helped them settle into Canada better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. We got at least 2 families that came and stayed for like a month and a half, or 2 months thereabout.
That's great.
It was great for them.
Yeah.
Great for them. So we really helped them settle into Canada. So that was, great. So you have to consider doing those things. Some people actually have a whole booking website for their Airbnb property.
Like you can build your own website, and that means you also cut out the Airbnb fee as well. How does that work? What does the Airbnb fee look like? Is it a percentage that they take?
Yeah, they take a percentage. I don't remember the amount off the top of my head right now. I'll have to look.
No problem.
But they take a percentage.
Yeah.
Of your earnings. It's not always fun, I'll be honest with you.
Of course.
Yeah, it's not always fun.
It's like when Stripe takes my payments, I'm like,
it's not always fun.
Okay.
But on other platforms, sometimes you can have a gentleman agreement with someone where it's not coming through Airbnb they just message you through IG. You have a little agreement with them to send little documents. So
I think to not go broke, you, as you said, don't just rely on one platform. Don't just rely on Airbnb. Instead, you can post on Vrbo
as well as another one we use.
Booking.com. Hotels.com even allows stuff like this. And then you could create your own website. You could have Facebook Marketplace. And you can also use Instagram and TikTok. I feel like those would be good places to find bookings. If you're just like, hey, and you can literally just show the property. Because I did that when I was in Rwanda. I showed a few properties because I met up with this founder who does something similar. And people just booked because they saw like the property on my TikTok. So yeah, same thing. Yeah. Okay. Are there any like legal things that we need to know, like legal complications or any specific insurance we need when operating an Airbnb in Ontario? So
it depends on the city.
Oh, okay.
Depends on the city you're in. Different cities have different policies or laws.
Okay, good to know.
Against short-term rental, which again falls into the Airbnb bracket, right? So for example, Toronto, you need to get a license. You have to pay for a license. So you have to be registered to do Airbnb. They're required to pay a municipal accommodation tax, which is 4% of every short-term booking. Brutal.
Bruh.
Right? They're just taking more of your money. Tax. Strangling you, right? So you have to check, what are the laws in your own city?
Okay.
Cities like Kitchener, for example, we don't deal with any of that. Vibes. At least not yet. Yeah. But it's coming, it's creeping into each city.
Yeah, I've
in
seen
Ontario.
It slowly, but
slowly, right?
Yeah. And maybe it's because we have a housing crisis in this country.
I know. So, we really do.
So they're like, okay, let's make it more expensive for people.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
In terms of insurance, get a property insurance critical.
Minimum, yeah.
However, your regular property insurance doesn't typically cover short-term rental. So you have to speak to your insurance provider and see they might need you to, get additional coverages, right, to protect against that. And you're trying to protect, again, number one, your property. If someone gets injured on your property, right, someone dies on your property, things like that, right? Those are the kind of things that
That's another expense, by the way, that we didn't mention.
Yep.
Yeah, so I can see how it would be easy to go broke doing Airbnb.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't run the numbers. Like, I think the most important thing here is to run the numbers, and your pricing strategy needs to make sense, right? If you're,
Exactly.
I know some people start off pricing very low, so you can at least get a few bookings and stuff, which can make sense. But after that, you need to increase your price to a point where it's still competitive in the market, and also can cover your costs and make you some profit.
Yeah. On pricing, be flexible, man. Stay flexible.
Yeah.
The way I see things, +1 is better than 0.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So if you notice that maybe you're not getting bookings, my G, you still gotta pay mortgage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you still gotta pay mortgage. You still, like, the expenses, they are waiting for you.
Yeah, regardless.
So if you have to sometimes drop your price to hedge that risk, please oblige.
Yeah.
Don't decide that, oh no,
It's like, I need to charge $250 a night.
they must pay $250 a night.
If 200 will get you bookings,
Please.
Yeah.
If 150 will get you bookings, please book it first, right?
Yeah.
And then from you have to, like, weigh things. You have to be very flexible and dynamic towards those things, essentially.
Do you have any tips or any tips to make yourself get seen on the app? Like, are there any
So
hacks or
again,
anything?
promotions.
So you can pay to be featured on Airbnb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just do your outside, do your other promotions, like promote yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Promote yourself.
It's a business, right?
It's a business. Promote yourself. Like, it's going to be very, 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 very important. And again, leverage verbal, booking.com.
And you can promote on all those apps as well. I've seen, like, I say the naming of your listing is important too. Like, some people will say,
oh yeah,
luxury 2-bedroom fast Wi-Fi condo.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, oh, that sounds
good. Yep.
Yeah.
All those
like
things, yeah.
Private home, private and private condo,
private parking, things like that. Because
like
one issue, like from my experience being a guest, parking. If you're going to a city where you're driving to, parking is always a mess.
I actually just filter by parking.
Yeah,
you know, is
right.
there parking
People
or not?
literally filter by parking.
Yeah,
right. Because think about it, people who have kids, for example, and they're driving in,
they need
with their minivan. They need
where are they gonna park?
Safe parking.
Yeah, not just on the road somewhere.
Not just on the road somewhere.
Yeah.
Very, very important,
very
right?
True. Very, very true. Especially when I was in San Francisco. They are known for break-ins. I was like, I need a place that has parking, like on site. Yeah, very true. Okay, so what do you think about the concept of arbitrage? I'm not sure if you know about this. Yeah, but I recently heard about it, and I was like, oh, people do this. So I'm like, I hope my tenants are not doing this. But can you explain what arbitrage is, and then if this is something people can consider for their Airbnb?
Yeah, so essentially arbitrage is when you take on the risk of renting a property from a landlord, and then you take that property and put it on Airbnb or a short-term rental platform.
Wow.
Right? So the pros and cons of that is, number one, you're taking on the risk of that rental. So if anything happens to the property, the landlord is coming for you, right? However, so that's a con. A pro of that is, because it's short-term rental, chances of that happening is less.
Yeah.
You get the differential between the rental payments and your proceedings from the short-term rental, right? So again, that could be profitable for you. Yeah. You're taking on less risk. You don't have to bring up $100,000 to try and put a down payment towards the property, right? For the landlord, it's probably also better because, again, damage, less risk of a damage to the property. Also, so in some cases they ask for like 6 months upfront, so again, less risk for the landlord, right? So there's things like that. So you actually have to have a proper pitch to the landlord.
Oh, I thought people were doing it without telling their landlord.
Some people do that.
Yeah, because someone I know does that.
Yeah,
they have like 3
people definitely do that.
Yeah. In Toronto, where they're the tenants,
and then
they are just putting it on Airbnb.
Yeah, people do that.
Yeah, and I think it's profitable in Toronto, especially because, again, mortgage payments are crazy in Toronto. Your mortgage payment probably isn't covering the landlord's mortgage, but if you can make your rent plus some on Airbnb, you know, especially if you have like a second bedroom. Some people just rent out the second bedroom, right? Or Airbnb the second bedroom. I think it's it's an interesting
It is.
concept. Yeah.
It is. It is. I mean, it's a good way to scale the business, right? Because imagine if you have to be buying every time before you can do Airbnb.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a lot of money, right?
Yeah. Okay. We're nearing the end of this conversation. I hope everyone's finding a lot of value in this. Someone asked me, they wanted me to ask you, as a racialized Black Airbnb host, do you find that you receive less bookings? But I guess you don't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah, exactly.
But do you think it plays a factor in your
So
success as an Airbnb
it's
host?
been reported,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of reports of that really in the Airbnb community actually.
Yeah.
But Airbnb, they're putting in place like different initiatives to prevent it.
Okay.
Like we have to sign like a non-discriminatory agreements, both the guests and the hosts, things like that.
Oh yeah.
Also, I believe you can't see the picture of the guest until they've paid, until the booking has been confirmed. So the initiatives like that, but regardless, there'll still be things that would happen.
Yeah. And if they see your name, like the effort, you can, even if there's no picture, we can guess.
Right.
This person, yeah.
Exactly, right? So have I faced it personally? I wouldn't even know.
Yeah, you wouldn't
because
know.
again, I don't have anything to compare against, right?
Yeah.
Have I in my interactions faced it? No.
Okay.
Not so far, no.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, so our last question of the night. What is one piece of advice that you would give all our listeners to make sure that they don't go broke trying to start an Airbnb business?
Does it have to be one?
You can do a few if you want.
Okay, I have a few.
Okay.
So number one, know your numbers.
Okay.
Right. Again, I've been talking about this all day. Know your numbers, calculate those numbers, be sure about it. Right. Number two, do your research and get your scenarios right.
Yeah.
Right. Very important. Number three, make sure you can afford it. Right.
And that goes back to do your numbers. Yeah.
Goes back to do your numbers, and you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone.
I like that.
You don't have to do it alone. Doing it alone means, yeah, you get 100% of the benefits, but you're also taking 100% of the risk, right? Why you don't need to do that. If you kind of think about it, the way I kind of see life is, if you think about all the billionaires in this world, how many of them own 100% of their businesses?
Probably none.
Right? Gives you an idea, right? Thinking about people like Warren Buffett. He owns pieces of everywhere, right? Diversify that portfolio. You don't have to take 100% of the risk, right? So you don't have to do it alone.
Especially if it's your first time, leverage other people. Work together. Especially in the Black community, I feel like
we don't do that enough.
We don't do it enough.
We don't
but
do
you
it
see
enough.
it with a lot of other communities.
Yep.
This guy and their friend and their three of them will own a house together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need to do more of that.
Yeah.
Right. I kind of joke with my friends and say, if it's alone, I don't even want it. Honestly.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes that's how I truly feel. I want to partner up with people.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, you have to have good people. You have to have the right mindset.
Yeah.
Some of the things I look for in partnering, I guess, sort of bonus content is, number one, what's the person's attitude? Number one, what values do they uphold by? Right. What values guide them? Number two, how do they see money?
Yeah.
I can't deal with somebody that if you lose 1,000, it's as if you've died. No,
Yeah.
please don't even come. Because I need somebody that if you lose $10,000, we're still rocking on. Yeah. Oh, okay, fine, we lost it, but let's go on, right?
Similar risk tolerance, right?
Similar risk tolerance, very, very critical. But because anything can happen in investing, right?
Yeah, and so if they want to just pull out after, yeah.
If we want to just pull out after, like let's know what we're doing, please, right? So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Pelumi.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate you being very vulnerable and open.
Thanks for having me.
You want to be found, do you want to be found? If you want to be found,
where
where should they find
you?
If you want to, where should they find you?
So, like I said, again, being a real estate investor, we do have an Instagram page. It's called Mikasa Victoria. The link is going to be put somewhere on this video, and in the description as well. Please find us, follow us. I'm going to be sharing a lot more content about real estate investment. We're going to be sharing content around that. We're going to be sharing content around our experiences that things that we face doing Airbnb businesses, and hopefully you can learn from those things. Also, again, I am a tech career mentor. Follow me on Instagram. It is Pelumi.Ogendegbe. If you're into music, I also have a music Instagram page called Pelumi_Onilu. So yeah,
Yeah.
please, feel free to reach out to me. I want to be resourceful. I want to help. I want to share knowledge. And if I don't know it, I want to be able to point you to people who do.
Pelumi the reserves.
Hey, relax.
Well, thank you so much, Pelumi, for being here again. I really do appreciate it. And everybody, I hope that you found value in this. If you did, please make sure you share this with a friend. We don't like to hoard knowledge over here,
Nope.
We like to share with everybody. See
Exactly.
how he was so free sharing with you?
Hey.
I think you should also share this with somebody else. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, again, thank you so much to everybody for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment if you're on YouTube, all that jazz, and share on your Instagram story. Tag me, tag Pelumi, and tag the podcast. Okay, we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.